If you're new to the concept of the engineering design cycle, a good place to start is with our video, Which Design Cycle? But if you're ready for a deeper look at the 3 phases of the engineering design cycle, here we go. The first phase is define. What does that mean to engineers? Define is the phase in which they think carefully and deeply about the problem they're trying to solve. Because define may be a new word for learners, we like to introduce its meaning with a question. What problem are we trying to solve? There can, of course, be different ways to solve a problem, but engineers have to be careful that how they define the problem doesn't already tell them what the solution is going to be. Here's a story about the importance of defining the real problem. Teams of college engineering students were asked to design a bridge that could span a wide ditch. Most teams dutifully started designing bridges. After all, that was the problem that had been defined for them. But one team thought about it more carefully and realized what the real problem was. People needed to cross the ditch to get to the other side. Rather than design a bridge, this team designed a way to fill the ditch back in, a solution that turned out to be much less complicated and much less expensive. So in the define phase of the design cycle, engineers have to identify the real problem, and a key part of that is understanding their users' needs, which, in the story we just heard, meant understanding that the users needed to cross a ditch, not that they needed a bridge. The second phase of the engineering design cycle is develop. To help students understand the meaning of the develop phase, we use the question, what can we design to solve the problem? This is when engineers research the problem and talk to experts about it. They brainstorm ideas for solutions and then choose their best ideas to prototype. Brainstorming is an important part of the develop phase. So let's take a closer look. Brainstorming sessions can, and should, be times when engineers come up with wild ideas that push the usual boundaries of their thinking. And brainstorming is a time when teams should defer judgment on other people's ideas, because an idea that seems too far out could end up sparking another idea that actually works. Along with brainstorming, prototyping is also part of the develop phase. Prototyping means building or drawing a representation of the solution, or maybe just one part of it. The prototype doesn't have to be the same size or have all the features of a final design. The point of a prototype is to test a particular part of the design and see how it works, or doesn't work. Which brings us to the third phase of the design cycle, optimize. We introduce students to this phase with the question, how can we improve our design? Engineers test their prototypes and get feedback on their designs, which helps them make improvements. Another part of this phase, and really a part of the entire design cycle, is for engineers to communicate their ideas and solutions to teammates and to users. As a reminder, these 3 phases don't always go in order. Engineers may get feedback before even building prototypes, for example, or they may communicate with users before they begin improving their solutions. The important thing for students to understand is that engineers use this flexible framework to guide and frame their problem solving. Define, develop, optimize.